A lot of talk today about why Kamala Harris won't take questions from the media. 19 days and counting now since becoming the nominee, and she's only done it twice, and both times it was extremely brief. We got a moment on a tarmac during the prisoner swap last week, and you know what happened when she did? We got that signature, Kamala Harris word salad.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances.
Then yesterday in Michigan, she was asked while traveling when she would answer questions, and this was her response.
Madam Vice President, there's been a lot of questions about when you're going to sit down for your first interview since being the nominee. Do you have any update on that?
I've talked to my team. I want us to get an interview scheduled before the end of the month.
I think part of the reason why she's not taking Q&A is certainly to avoid the word salad moments, but those close to her campaign know the road to the White House goes through the swing states and that pool of voters who are undecided. Many of those people, they're out in the suburbs of the cities and in blue-collar Americans in the Midwest and small towns. And the issues that are important to those voters are the ones Harris desperately doesn't want to address because many of them weren't even issues until she took office with Joe Biden. I think voters out in that part of the country thought what they were getting under the Biden-Harris administration was the Democrat Party of yesteryear, that Joe Biden, old Joe, would deliver that and not the one that we see today. That has not been the case. Here's what Politico wrote about that and why Harris won't do interviews with national media. This came out yesterday. One longtime Harris ally suggested to West Wing Playbook that Harris could hold off on big interviews until after Labor Day. There's really no need, the person said. The voters that she needs are at the local level. They're not reading the national press. There's no need to go on national TV and do interviews because the last thing that her campaign wants is to remind the swing state voters about the biggest issue of them all. That is inflation, about the unemployment rate, now back up to 2021 levels, about the cost of housing, the cost of food, pretty much all things economy. I have to ask, has anyone actually noticed an improvement of the cost of living in this country recently? I don't think you have. And here's her plan on bringing down the cost of food. She actually talked about this in one of her speeches in Atlanta last week.
Prices are still too high. You know it and I know it. And when we win this election, here's what we're going to do about it. On day one, I will take on price gouging and bring down costs.
That's not a plan. That's a talking point. What are the details to bring down the price gouging? But at this rate, you're never going to know what her plan is and what it looks like because she'll never be vetted, because she won't take questions. That's because she knows swing state voters won't like what she has to say. And when they're reminded of the last 3 years under her watch, they may just go back and vote for Trump like they did in 2016. Another big issue is obviously the border, the murders and the rape of our women committed by the hands of illegals, the drugs, the financial burden. This has cost our country billions of dollars, everything that comes along with it. Kamala Harris was in charge of the border, and it's a major issue for swing state voters. I think it might be number 2, actually, behind the economy. But she doesn't want her record exposed on that, or the foreign policy, or her comments about defunding police, or about her comments wanting to ban fracking. There's more, or why she promoted bailing out rioters who burned down cities during the 2020 riots in the Summer of Love. She's avoiding questions about all of it, pretty much her whole record. You see, Kamala Harris needs middle America to win the election, but her record on the top issues for voters in that part of the country, it is not good at all. And the last thing that she wants is to have to answer questions on national TV and remind those people what life has really been like while she has been the vice president.